We are less than 24 hours away from Election Day, and joining us now is a candidate for the East Baton Rouge Mayor President, and it's Matt Watson. You're a current council member as well, and we are, like I said, people are getting up to head to the polls here very shortly, but some people may still be undecided. What one message would you have for that individual?
Well, thank you for having me, Kellyanne. I would tell you the first thing that you want to know is, as council person, I have frontline experience with the folks that are going to fix what ails our community. You know, every time I go out and I do a mayoral forum, the current mayor talks about everything she's accomplished and all the things she's done to solve problems, but there's always questions about how are we going to solve this problem or that problem. First on the list is probably the over 400 homicides we've had since she took tenure. That's something we really need to address, and it's people from all walks of life that want to have more security, more safety, and more police presence in their neighborhood so they can feel safe in their home, going to work, going to school, or just going to shop.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. Obviously, crime rate is a huge topic in this election. And outside of police, how exactly would you aim to fix that if elected?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd take one of my assistant chief administrative officer positions and put that person over public safety to be a liaison to the sheriff's office, all of our fire departments, EMS, but primarily over BRPD. So this person would be tasked with communicating with our local first responders and having their finger on the pulse of best practices around the country of reducing crime. I would travel with that person in proper leadership with BRPD into the community to speak to those folks. First and foremost, those folks that have a higher instance of crime in their community, and tell them what they already know, that they've got a lot of crime, what those crimes are, and then explain what professional policing best practices are to reduce that crime and get community buy-in.
Now, one of the things you've been outspoken about is blight in North Baton Rouge. Can you discuss that some?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a proven fact that there's a positive correlation between blight and violent crime. In our community, I made a map that's made its way around, and even someone from the DA's office used my map for their dissertation, where it showed a heat map of violent crime overlaid with properties that the local folks in those neighborhoods had complained about that need to be cleaned up or need to be torn down. And when you look at that, there's such a connection that actually if you live in close proximity to a blighted property, you're 13 times more likely to die of murder.
So with that being said, why do you think that the mayor hasn't discovered that or done anything? Do you think she's done enough? I mean, is there more that can be done?
Ma'am, she hasn't done anything since she started in 2017 until recently. I mean, she's like a lazy high school student who's cramming for a test because it's election time. So there's a lot of things that she's doing right now, paving streets and getting out, and certainly putting up signs for projects that aren't going to be started for 2 years from now to try to get out and look like she's done something. But we have a lot of issues, and I've gone to a lot of mayoral forums put on by African American business associations, Together Baton Rouge, things of this nature, and they all still are pointing their fingers at terrible problems that our community has that she thinks she's addressed, but when you look at the facts of the matter, she just hasn't.
Well, so some people might be, last question, some people might actually be a little confused because you're a council person.
Sure.
At the same token, you're sort of working with the mayor. So where is that line drawn between, can people go back and say, well, why haven't, as a council person, you done more to help blight now? And that will get you moving forward.
Well, here's the difference is we have separation of powers just like at the federal government. I'm a member of the legislative branch, so when I work across the aisle to get higher penalties for blight and clean things up or make requests to go get houses torn down because they're half torn down anyway and dangerous, I can make those requests, but it falls in the executive branch's lap and it falls on deaf ears and nothing gets done, mostly because it's unorganized and it's not efficient enough to go out and make real change the way people want to see it done.
Perfect. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here with us this morning on Fox 44 First Edition.
Thank you.
Folks, I want to thank you for checking in with us. And of course, the polls are going to open tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. so you can head out and cast your vote. Stick around. We've got more coming up right after the break.